Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with more updates coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I've got lots of news to brief you on today. So, we're going to be talking more about this ballistic missile that Russia had fired yesterday, the Oreshnik medium range hypersonic ballistic missile. Russia fired this from their territory into Ukraine near the city of Dnipro down in southeastern Ukraine and directly struck their territory. So, looks like Ukraine is definitely spooked right now as the parliament canceled their session today over the Russian missile threat. So, we have been hearing recently that Russia may carry out a large scale attack targeting government buildings inside of Kiev and just launching a major strike onto Ukraine in general. Now, we have seen over the last week some pretty major attacks with drones and especially missiles being fired from Russia. And it looks like they're definitely concerned about this missile right now, the Oreshnik hypersonic missile that was fired yesterday, as Ukraine obviously does not have the ability to shoot this thing down right now. So any of their air defenses that they currently have in Ukraine would not be able to shoot down this incoming missile or maybe any ICBMs that Russia fires onto Ukraine. So they're definitely worried about this, and I want to talk more about this today. Also, coming up on November 26th, looks like Ukraine and the NATO Council is going to be holding an emergency meeting to discuss this new missile that Russia had fired into Ukraine. So I think that's going to move in the direction of supplying Ukraine with air defense systems that have capabilities to shoot down ICBMs coming into Ukraine. As now it looks like this is going to be the new threat, is going to be ICBMs or maybe some of these medium range ballistic missiles as well. And Ukraine's going to need air defenses to be able to shoot these things down. So expect more talks coming in the future regarding that. And also, we had a strike inside of Sumy just in the last 24 hours. I think it was last night. Some pretty heavy airstrikes taking place in Sumy in Ukraine again, up near the Kursk region of Russia. So we'll be discussing that. We had some injuries and some people losing their lives inside of Ukraine from that attack. Also, last night, there were some reports as well of Ukrainian drones entering into the Krasnodar region. We don't know exactly what was being targeted down there, but lots of locals were sharing pictures and videos coming out of some major fires breaking out down in the Krasnodar region. This is in southwestern Russia. Major drone attack being reported in that area. I want to show you guys the videos and pictures coming out from there. So let's go ahead and hop into this. Let me show you this report here real quick from the New York Times. It says Ukraine, it cancels parliament session, citing a warning over a missile attack. This is the first time Parliament has canceled a session since Russia invaded Ukraine. Okay, this just coming out today, November 22nd, 2024. It says here Ukraine's Parliament canceled a session on Friday over a warning that Russia could target the building in an attack with a missile that Ukraine's air defenses cannot shoot down, lawmakers said. Although they did not say which type of missile they were worried about, the decision to cancel the session came a day after Russia fired what it described as a new intermediate range missile. Ukraine has no radars capable of detecting those missiles in flight, though the upper atmosphere nor air defense systems capable of shooting them down, Ukrainian experts have said. Since the start of the war, Parliament has continued meeting in its chambers, even in the first 12 months of the first months of the conflict, when Russia forces were just 12 miles away from the center of the capital. But on Friday, Parliament decided not to take the risk. They canceled it late last night, citing the danger of missile strike. Alexei Honcharenko, if I'm pronouncing that right, an opposition member of Parliament, said of the planned session. The intermediate range missile launched Thursday carried conventional warheads, but it is also capable of carrying nuclear weapons. And analysts and Western officials said the purpose was to instill fear in Ukraine and the West. Well, it definitely looks like it's working for the most part, and obviously Ukraine just taking precautionary measures as maybe Russia may try to fire one of these, maybe striking government buildings. We have heard that it's definitely a major threat over the last couple weeks that Russia may try to carry out an attack like this inside of Ukraine. So it makes sense that they're taking these precautionary measures for now, closing down Parliament for the day, and obviously pretty insane threat if Ukraine is closing their parliament as the first time they have done this. So pretty insane story to be sharing there. So we're going to talk about some other things on X as well. Let's go ahead and jump on over here. This is a report from Max 24 today. An emergency meeting of the Ukraine NATO Council will be held on November 26 to discuss the consequences of the use of a new Russian missile, according to AFP. So here's a picture of the NATO Council, and they're going to be holding this emergency meeting coming up again on November 26th. So that's just in 4 days from now. And most likely they're going to be discussing this new missile that Russia used, and probably trying to figure out how they can defend Ukraine. What are they going to do? What types of weapon systems can they deploy to Ukraine to allow them capabilities to take down incoming ICBMs or these IRBMs if they come into their country? So that'll be coming up very soon, guys. A few more days. Okay, also from Max 24, the armed forces of Ukraine have decided to strengthen the air defense of Kiev. A separate group has been created to protect the airspace over the capital, according to the Telegraph. Other cities are also being systematically reinforced, in particular Kharkiv. Okay, so obviously lots of new threats now, okay? Now that this new missile has been introduced into Ukraine and showing capabilities to be able to strike Ukraine, this is going to be a big topic now. Now, a big question to me is Ukraine going to continue striking Russian territory with ATACMS and British Storm Shadow missiles, or maybe any other type of long-range missiles? Are they going to continue these acts, or are they going to cease, okay? That's the big question. Now, we haven't had any official confirmation of any other use of long-range missiles into Russian territory just yet. The last one was reported just a few days ago of British-supplied Storm Shadow missiles striking the Kursk region. So we'll see if Ukraine continues up the strikes inside of Russian territory, further provoking Vladimir Putin and Russia. So also from Bliskovka, Ukraine is discussing with the United States the provision of weapons capable of shooting down intercontinental missiles. Ukrinform reports. The media outlet notes that it may be a question of modernizing the Patriot or receiving the U.S. Aegis, I don't know if it's pronounced Aegis, missile defense system. Okay, so like I said, this is probably going to be the next direction moving for Ukraine, is providing Ukraine air defense systems, radar systems to be able to detect these incoming ICBMs or IRBMs into their nation. They obviously need the ability to protect themselves now, as this is going to be a new threat moving forward, okay? So also from Ozen Defender, damage to a building within the central Ukrainian city of Dnipro following an impact from the conventional warhead of a MIRV-equipped intermediate or intercontinental ballistic missile launched by Russia. Surprisingly, the damage appears to be minor, with the warheads used either being extremely small or inert. So this is video footage coming out from Dnipro, apparently, that Ozen Defender was sharing for us, showing direct strikes on some building. And what's being claimed here is that these were the incoming MIRV payload from this rocket or this missile that was being fired yesterday, the ballistic missile, the Oreshnik. And these were some of the payloads striking this building, okay? And there was obviously multiples of them. I think we saw a total of 6 yesterday incoming to Dnipro. Looks like a building was actually hit by one of these, so pretty crazy to see that. Moving on to another update from next, Russian forces struck a residential building in the Ukrainian city of Sumy. According to preliminary reports, 2 people were killed and 12 injured. The drones used in the attack were loaded with shrapnel and small metal fragments that spread upon explosion, causing severe injuries. So I got a couple videos here, or actually one video to show you guys and some pictures as well. So let's go ahead and hop into this first video showing major strikes inside of Sumy once again. This is probably the second or third time just this week we have shown major strikes over here. So take a look at this. Alright guys, so once again, massive damage being reported inside the city of Sumy. And if you're not aware of where Sumy is not too far away from the Kursk region inside of Russia. It's just over the border of where the Ukrainians are currently operating and trying to hold on to territory inside of Russia. And Sumy has been pounded ever since Ukraine launched their attack into the Kursk region of Russia. And obviously Sumy being a major city, lots of equipment probably travels through here, but we have definitely seen lots of attacks on residential infrastructure. We can see lots of buildings being destroyed here and shrapnel damage, windows being blown out, as we can see on some shops. So pretty major attacks. Here's some pictures as well showing damage to this building. Looks like this building may have taken a direct hit, or maybe some of the shrapnel flew into this window up here, and we can see all the what looks like pellets or fragments from this explosive, which whatever went off here slammed into the building, causing damage as well. There's some up close images also. So imagine how frightening that is, okay? And Ukraine is enduring these kinds of strikes repeatedly, especially lately in Sumy, Kharkiv, Dnipro region. It's just lots of cities coming under attack repeatedly almost every day. Pretty crazy. Also, one picture here as well from the Clash report. A Russian drone attack on the Ukrainian city of Sumy killed 2 people and injured 12 on Friday morning. Here's some other damage inside the city being reported. Looks like a residential building or apartment building taking a direct hit as well from a Russian missile or drone. Most likely a missile was striking this, or a glide bomb. And typically that's what we've been seeing inside of Sumy, getting hit by a lot of those. Okay, so now we're going to move on to these reports that we were hearing yesterday. There was some drone attacks taking place in the Krasnodar region of Russia, which is in southwestern Russia. And obviously Krasnodar has been coming under attack a lot, but we don't know exactly what was being struck here. We have a few videos we can show you and some pictures coming out from this area of a major fire that has broken out. From the informant, large-scale Ukrainian drone attack targets Adigay, I think it's Adigay, and Krasnodar Krai, Russia. Russia has restricted airspace in specific regions, officially citing missile testing. Similar airspace closures were implemented yesterday, shortly before Russia launched a missile strike on Dnipro. So go ahead and take a look at these. We got 2 videos to show you real quick. We'll start with this first one here. All right, so not sure exactly what was struck here, but we could definitely see a major fire over here in the distance on top of this hill. Maybe this was some sort of Russian military base or something in the area. We don't really know at this time. I also tried researching online for you guys, and I couldn't find any information. No mainstream news really reporting this as well. But one more video coming up here also. All right, so appears to be a pretty major attack with drones. We got somebody driving by here on the road recording this as well. A major fire at probably some building over here or something out there in the open. We don't really know exactly what that was. I'm not sure if maybe this was some sort of launch site that was attributed to or connected to this ballistic missile that was fired yesterday. We don't really know. Here's some pictures as well from Max 24. It says Krasnodar, Russia, showing it on fire. Major fires over here in the background. It's obviously very blurry, but something for sure caught on fire over here in the distance. And when we look closely, there's really nothing over here. It looks like just trees, but obviously it's at night and very far away, so we can't completely tell. Here's another photo from Ozent Technical. Ukrainian Strike reported in Russia's Krasnodar tonight. Reports that at least one site on the city's outskirts is heavily burning. So here's another picture showing in the distance over here in the Krasnodar city. So this is just like in southern Krasnodar, okay? The actual city of Krasnodar. This is where this strike took place, on the very south side in the outskirts, okay? So again, we don't really know. If you guys have any information on this, please share down below in the comment section. But again, we don't know exactly what the target was here. Here's another picture I can show you guys also. Max 24, more from Adigay, Krasnodar Krai. So this picture here, there's another picture in a video, but I've already shown that to you guys. But this is another one that Max24 was sharing, showing the night sky lit up as a major fire broke out over here after this drone attack. So pretty insane attack over here also. All right, from Bliskovka now, the Kapustin Yar missile range, from where Russia launched a new ballistic missile at the Dnipro, was attacked by drones, local media reports. At least 2 UAVs were not shot down. They hit the 105th site of the range. The consequences of the attack are currently unknown, but the head of the region reported a fire. Okay, so yesterday I showed you guys a video of a drone attack that took place in the morning time inside of Russia, close to the it's kind of like in the Krasnodar region. There's another region nearby. I forget the name of it. It starts with an A. but supposedly this is where this missile may have come from. I think it's called Astrakhan region. It's very southwestern Russia, close to Krasnodar as well. And again, I showed you guys some drones that were flying in that area, and we don't really know where these drones were headed, but there was some information like this coming out later that looks like this missile range where Russia supposedly had launched this new ballistic missile was the target, okay? So lots of drones were heading that direction. We don't have any reports of whether it was directly struck or anything like that, but drones were definitely headed that way yesterday morning. This would have come hours after Russia had launched that ballistic missile yesterday. Okay, also from Special Kherson Cat, said to be Storm Shadow missiles flying over the Kursk region of Russia. So I wanted to show you guys this, pretty crazy, what appears to be Storm Shadow missiles flying over the Kursk region. This is probably from a few days ago when the Kursk region came under attack. We had that Russian command post and a potential bunker underground in the city of Marino that I reported to you guys. And this is going to show some of these Storm Shadow missiles flying by. Check this out. All right, so we were able to see what appears to be two of these British Storm Shadow missiles being fired and flying over somebody's farm. Imagine just hanging out over here by all your animals, then all of a sudden you see some missiles flying over your head. That's got to be pretty frightening, but really insane and cool to see that at the same time. So these were probably those missiles heading on over in the Kursk region to strike that Russian command post. So some cool video footage coming out for you in Russia. Okay, also War Translator Dmitry, a Ukrainian General Staff source, reports that Ukraine controls 800 square kilometers in the Kursk operational zone, down from 1,300 at its peak. For 4 months, Russia has failed to reclaim the area, suffering heavy losses and deploying North Korean troops in a desperate attempt to clear it. Okay, so I did hear another report from another independent source on X claiming that Ukraine currently holds somewhere around 670 square kilometers. So it looks like it's somewhere in that range, probably 600 to 800 kilometers that Ukraine is still currently holding on to. We know they've lost approximately close to half of the territory that they initially gained at the very start of the offensive. But nonetheless, Ukraine is still holding on to the Kursk region, have not lost it completely yet. And it looks like Ukraine is going to continue to hold it for as long as possible, at least until negotiations begin between Russia and Ukraine. So that was a quick update coming out from the Kursk region. Also from Anonymous, Russia fired a second ICBM and hit itself. That's all you need to know about its nuclear capabilities. Okay, so yesterday I did not have this information right away, but we were hearing after we had reported on this ballistic missile that was fired yesterday, the Oreshnik, that apparently Russia had fired a second one and it had malfunctioned and crashed into its own territory. Okay, now I haven't seen official reports talking about that, but multiple sources, including Anonymous here, who is a huge account on X, okay, reporting that a second ICBM was fired and it malfunctioned and basically crashed into Russian territory. So he's saying here that that's all you need to know about its nuclear capabilities. That obviously, imagine if this weapon had a nuclear warhead on it. Okay, Russia would have had a major accident inside of their own country. Obviously, considering they fired another one that did directly strike Ukraine, and if that did have a nuclear weapon on it as well, obviously Ukraine would be in a bad position right now also, right? But this goes to show that if this was a second one that was fired and it malfunctioned and crashed into its own territory, then maybe Russia's got some problems with their nuclear capable missiles, okay? So interesting information that came out yesterday. Also from Max24, the US and European officials are discussing deterrence as a possible security guarantee for Ukraine, such as stockpiling a conventional arsenal sufficient to strike a punishing blow if Russia violates a ceasefire, according to the New York Times. Several officials even suggested that Mr. Biden could return nuclear weapons to Ukraine that were taken from it after the fall of the Soviet Union. That would be an instant and enormous deterrent, but such a step would be complicated and have serious implications. Okay, so two major statements here. Okay, this first one talking about the U.S. potentially providing major stockpiles of conventional arsenals to Ukraine to give Russia a punishing blow if maybe this war comes to an end and there is some sort of demilitarized zone that's created. Maybe Ukraine is going to have to give up the territories that they've lost over to Russia. Maybe they're not going to be able to reclaim them, at least not right now. And we've heard reports that Donald Trump could potentially, as part of his plan to end the war, maybe give Ukraine substantial amounts of weapons to defend themselves from a future attack from Russia. So that way Russia is deterred from ever attacking Ukraine again. So that could be a potential in the future. And then also this other statement of providing Ukraine nuclear weapons. Now, that is obviously an extreme step forward. Now, would Biden do that, or maybe even Trump in the future? Who really knows? But obviously, that could be a major deterrent for Russia if Ukraine had nuclear weapons. And they used to have a ton of these, okay? They gave them up back in the 90s for security assurances, and obviously, the Budapest Memorandum completely fell through, and Ukraine was not defended in the way they should have been. So, if Ukraine had nuclear weapons right now, would Russia have attacked Ukraine? Probably not, okay? It probably would have been a completely different story, but that's what happened. Ukraine gave them up a long time ago, and that's why they were attacked, okay? So also from the Kiev Post, head of Ukrainian intelligence Budanov, this is Kirilo Budanov, says Russia likely only produced 2 of the Keter long-range ballistic missiles which hit the city of Dnipro yesterday, both prototypes, and that it indicates that Russians have lost their minds throwing their last resources into Ukraine. He added that the name Oreshnik is a scientific designation, while the system's actual name is Keter, which is a carrier of nuclear weapons. So we're not going to watch this video because it doesn't have any English subtitles, but this was Kirilo Budanov speaking here at some conference. And essentially, he stated that the real name for this system is actually called the Keter, not Oreshnik. So I'm not sure what we're going to call it. I've been calling it Oreshnik, but it could be, I guess, known as Keter also. But Russia, Vladimir Putin referred to this system called the Oreshnik that they used yesterday. Okay, this medium-range ballistic missile. So, according to him, he's stating that Russia doesn't have too many of these, and they used up basically their prototypes that they actually have. As we did hear, this was an experimental missile being fired from Russia. Vladimir Putin did say that as well. And obviously some big news coming out from here. So let me know what you think of that down below. Also from Ozen Defender, a security guard at the U.S. Embassy in Oslo, Norway, has been arrested by the Norwegian Police Security Service, PST, for charges of espionage on behalf of Russia and Iran, with police having raided his home on Wednesday, during which several digital devices were confiscated. So we've been seeing a lot of this lately. It looks like a security guard at the U.S. Embassy in Oslo, Norway, being arrested with potential connection to Russia and Iran, maybe even spying for them. So definitely lots of threats happening inside of Europe, particularly in regards to sabotage attacks, spying, espionage, things like that, in connection to Russia and Iran. Lots of reports coming out from this recently in European nations. Also from Vicegrad24, the former commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian army, Valery Zaluzhny, stated today that the Russian army has started firing Chinese shells at Ukrainian positions. So Valery Zaluzhny has been coming out a lot over the last few days, saying some pretty insane things. Okay, yesterday he said that this is basically World War III, that it's already begun, that NATO and Russia are already heavily involved in this war. Obviously, U.S. supplied weapons, also British supplied weapons, long-range missiles flying into Russia is already a major step forward. Russia's already come out stating that this would be direct involvement of NATO in the conflict. So now he's coming out saying that apparently Chinese shells, probably artillery shells, are now being fired at Ukrainian positions. So we have been hearing more recently about Chinese involvement. We heard recently about drones being manufactured in China, also being directly sent over to Russia, being used in the war against Ukraine. So this is more potential involvement of the Chinese in this war, according to Valery Zaluzhny. Also from Max24, at least 14 Shaheeds have visited Belarus today. Some UAVs have disappeared there, and aviation has also been flying, Belaruski Gayun reported. Okay, so we've seen a lot of this as well. Looks like more drones coming from Russia last night were magically flying into Belarusian territory. Looks like several of them we can see here. Sometimes they head into Ukraine and then they fly back into Russian territory. You can see the trajectory of some of these right here. Definitely been wondering a lot why this happens. Maybe some of these drones are trying to avoid electronic warfare or air defense systems that are trying to shoot them down. Maybe radars are detecting them, and then they're turning around, flying back into Belarus to try to prevent them from being shot down. But Belarus has been invaded a lot by Russian drones, these Shahid drones that are supposed to be going to Ukraine, but somehow they end up flying back into Belarus. They've been complaining about that a lot lately. Also, for military news, the UK government is exploring the possibility of repurposing decommissioned military equipment for use by Ukraine, Defense Secretary John Healey said in Parliament. Okay, this is very, very big news. Could the UK potentially be supplying lots of decommissioned military equipment soon? Okay, so they could be pulling a lot of their military equipment away from their usual equipment that's used in their military, and they could decommission it, sending over to Ukraine. This could be a lot of equipment. Imagine helicopters. Who knows? I'm not sure if any warplanes, probably not warplanes, but maybe drones like what you see here. And who knows? Tanks, all kinds of stuff. IFVs could potentially be headed over to Ukraine very soon if they end up approving this. Looks like it's something they're talking about right now in the UK. Okay, also from the Ukrainian Review, Russian armed forces have intensified their offensive in the Zaporizhzhia direction, which is the most dangerous for Ukraine, the commander of 3rd Assault Brigade. The threat lies in the proximity to Dnipro, the possibility of cutting the supply lines of AFU and more. Okay, so our final update of the day talks about Zaporizhzhia. And this is something I've been letting you guys know over the last couple weeks. We have seen numerous reports of a major buildup of Russian forces in the Zaporizhzhia region, potentially getting ready for a major offensive to push forward, take the city of Zaporizhzhia, and also maybe the rest of the Zaporizhzhia region, and also to potentially cut off many supply lines for the Eastern Front in the Donetsk region, which the Donetsk region would be more to the northeast over here, which would be cut off on the picture. But yeah, we've heard anywhere from like 150 to 200,000 Russian troops could be built up in this area, and potentially even North Korean troops, as we have heard down here in Mariupol, that there has been some training grounds that have been spotted that could potentially had North Korean troops as well. So definitely could have North Korean troops built into that mix. But we have not heard of an official offensive being launched in this area. But looks like they have been intensifying some minor offensives in this area, potentially indicating a major attack is coming. And we know Ukraine has recently beefed up this area as well. Lots of landmines, lots of trenches being built, and they're preparing for a major attack in the south as well. So just wanted to give you a quick update coming out from the Zaporizhzhia direction. Also, looks like that offensive could kick off at any time. So yeah, I want to thank you guys for so much for tuning in today. And if you got something out of this update, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.